for someone to say, I don't perform. No, you can perform. You haven't performed yet. You haven't found the trick or the tool to get that performance from yourself. Because everyone can perform, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone can perform.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely not an absolute.
It should never be an absolute.
It's not an absolute statement at all. No.
And so with, these type of students I'm talking about, like I know they'll get there.
Yeah.
And they got there in previous belts. It just took a little bit longer than other people. They got to the top of the podium. It just took us 3 years instead of,
some of them are slow burns. They just take a while to heat up, and from my experience was it took a while to get to enough kind of critical mass of skill to be able to start winning. And then you also need to get enough reps at competing so you become comfortable enough with it that you don't get undone by your own head. But yeah, some guys will just take time, and if they stay at it, they're going to start winning. That's assuming that the coaches aren't just pushing them through the belts really quickly. Like, you've been around long enough, here's another belt. Now, if we want to just summarize really quickly, though, analyzing performance,
fairly soon.
Then there's three things, and we've talked about this really briefly before, and I said I've talked about this on socials as well. You've got skill. So do you actually know the technique well?
Technical skill.
Yeah. Then you've got strategy that overlays that. So how do you put those skills together in the context of the rules and your partner's skills? And then you've got performance, your ability to do those things. Now, you can have skill and strategy, but if your performance is dog shit, doesn't matter.
You've also, I think there's also conditioning in there as well.
That was the other one I was going to put. That's the kind of little asterisks of like assuming that you've got the conditioning to perform them. I don't get too caught up in that because it's really, really rare that I see somebody lose because of gas. I see somebody gas because they're losing more often.
I'd like to add something to that because a lot of the time people define conditioning too simply. And they just think it has something to do with being physically prepared. Like I've got let's say UFC, I've got 5 by 5 minute rounds. I need the conditioning to last that. No one's walking into the octagon without having the conditioning to to be able to handle 5 hard 5 minute rounds. Everyone has that. But people will cark it because they've either taken a hard knock to the head or they haven't managed their fatigue well during a round. For instance, they've squeezed someone too hard for too long and they've bottled it, or they step maybe before
adrenal dump or something.
Or they step in, they see the guy, they're like, fuck, this is going to be much harder than I thought. And you got to understand, like, they walk in, I've heard numbers of like them walking in at about 150 beats per minute. That they're walking in, they haven't even started doing anything, and that's their base. Most of us would be working freaking hard by the time we hit that, and then they have to perform for almost half an hour. So, one of the reasons why I think Link, when he's saying I have faith in my gas tank, part of his ability to last is, I feel like part of your ability to last is your mental state, and so you can't. Like when you say there's no point in going in unless you have good conditioning, but you can have good conditioning, good strategy, good skill, and I think not be in the right headspace.
Yeah, you're right.
And all of it will go to shit.